Good morning, Declan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Declan Naughton. I live in Blessington and I've lived here for 24, going on 25 years.
Declan, so do you believe in God?
Yes, I do believe in God.
Would you like to tell us why you believe in God?
Well, I think, God is all around us. I mean, you only have to look at the wonder of creation to know of God's presence. I mean, if you think about a baby born and how perfect they absolutely are, with the eyes they can see and the ears they can hear. But I suppose I'd noticed it even more kind of in terms of like this time of the year, we're in the depths of winter, the snow is outside, and yet the snowdrops are kind of popping their heads up at the moment. And how did they know? How did the snowdrops notice time to do that? And I always think of the birds. You think of the small birds, tiny brain, and yet they're able to get from here to the hot countries in the winter without a sat-nav, and they're able to come back, and studies have shown that they actually come back to the same nest year after year. How did they do that with their small brains? There has to be God's intervention and creation in all of nature and all of that.
And do you believe in Jesus Christ, Declan?
Yeah, well, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and that he's like the personification of God and lived on this earth. So I always feel that Jesus Christ knew what it was like to live as we live. He was born, we've just celebrated the birth, so he was born, grew up, and became a teenager the same as the rest of us, and no doubt had the teenage angst the same as the rest of us. I just always imagined the conversation after he was found in the temple with the parents. Can you imagine that going home? So don't ever do that again, or whatever. We were worried sick about you. So he had the same conversations that you'd have with your parents. So he understood what it was like to live on this earth. And I just feel that Jesus always championed the poor, not the rich and the famous and the kings, but the people, the widow's mite, the widow that gave so little, but yet it was so important for her. And I just feel that in today's world, the people that volunteer, the people who work in the church and volunteer, and not just in the church, people in St. Vincent de Paul, let's say, who kind of help the poor, they to me are the Jesus Christ of the modern day. People who look after our Tidy Towns committee, people like Greta Thunberg, who could just sit at home and study and do whatever it is the kids do, but says, no, I need to do something about this. So to me, I think Jesus Christ empowered those people to be able to do that, and empowered all of us, and we should all be able to make a contribution.
Thanks, Declan. Do you believe in the Holy Spirit?
Yes, I mean, it's the third part of it, really, isn't it? And when I think of the Holy Spirit, I just think of strength. And I mean, I always feel that that's what confirmation is supposed to give you. It's to give you the strength for the rest of your life. And I've always been conscious of the strength of the Holy Spirit. Maybe not in the way of just the Holy Spirit, but in terms of being able to have. And I'll give you an example. My mother lived in the west of Ireland in a very, very run-down house. It was very, very old. When I used to go and visit her, I used to worry about this house. And it was falling down around her, and could we afford to knock it and build it again or whatever, and it was a worry. And one day, a man knocked at her door and he said, I've just bought next door. I'm thinking of developing it and I'd like your house and garden. Would you sell it? And she was like, oh, I don't know, I like living here. I mean, I'm beside the church, I'm beside the library. He says, I'll build you another house on the spot. And she said, what do I do in the meantime? He says, I'll give you a house. So she said, okay. That's the Holy Spirit intervening. That was the answer to our prayers. I'm not sure we were even praying for it, but it happened. Okay? I lived with a granduncle, bachelor. And he died at a very old age. And the week after he died, I met the lady that I eventually married. Was that his intervention? Was that him saying, I don't want him to be single like I was? So these, I suppose, are examples in my life of the Holy Spirit, and they are the people who've maybe gone to heaven already. So it's not just the Holy Spirit, it's whoever it is. So that to me, I always feel is there. I've made good decisions in life, and I don't feel I made those decisions on my own. And I've had a very happy life, and I think the Holy Spirit has been in those decisions and has been part of that.
Thanks, Declan. Declan, can you answer me, why do you volunteer in the church, your time and your service?
Yeah, it's interesting, I suppose. I've been involved in the Parish Pastor Council, I'm involved with the folk group. Well, I suppose I'm one of these people that, I like what the church does, and the church can't operate with priests that are getting older or whatever. So, they need people to help out. And if I want a church to be there for me and my children and my grandchildren or whatever, well, I have to. Somebody has to do it. So why should it be somebody else? So I try and contribute what I can contribute. But as I say, it's like Greta Thunberg. Could we sit back and just let somebody else think about it, or do we get up and do it ourselves? And I think we all have a gift, and I think we probably should use those gifts. And it's not just about giving. You get self-satisfaction, you get a strength and a confidence, and it's all about development. I'm a big believer in self-development, and I think everything that you do is self-development. Even if you don't like it and you try it and it doesn't work, doesn't matter, it's still self-development. It's good for you, but also it's good for other people.
Declan, thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.